Imagine you got kicked out of a party, but it turns out you were actually on the guest list the whole time. That is basically what a wrongful deportation feels like, except the party is your entire life, and the bouncer had bad paperwork. Here is the wild thing about deportation orders. They are not always final, even when the government acts like they carved them into stone. Some of them have cracks, and immigration lawyers know exactly where to push. One of the most powerful tools is something called a motion to reopen, and no, it is not a contractor fixing a door. It is a formal legal request that says, hey, something went wrong the first time, let us look at this case again. You can file a motion to reopen if new evidence showed up, if your old lawyer made serious mistakes, or if the law itself changed after your case was decided. The immigration courts actually allow this, which is kind of like a video game, giving you an extra life after the screen already said game over. There is also something called a motion to reconsider, which is slightly different and honestly sounds like what you do after accidentally sending a risky text. This one argues that the judge made a legal error, not that new facts exist, just that the original decision was legally wrong from the start. Now, if someone was already physically removed from the country, things get harder but not impossible. A lawyer can sometimes file what is called a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, which is a fancy Latin phrase that basically means you cannot just hold someone or throw them out without proper legal grounds. Then there are these things called waivers, and they are sort of like coupons for immigration problems. A waiver asks the government to forgive a past issue, like an old unlawful presence or a misrepresentation, so it does not permanently block someone from coming back. One of the big ones is the I-212 waiver, which covers people who were previously removed and are now trying to re-enter legally. Without that waiver, a prior removal order can bar you for 10 years, 25 years, or even permanently depending on the situation. There is also something called prosecutorial discretion, which sounds like a superpower a district attorney has in a courtroom drama. Basically, it means the government can choose not to pursue or enforce a removal order in certain situations, especially when someone has strong ties to the community or poses no public safety concern. Here is something a lot of people do not realize. If you were deported and your removal was based on a crime that was later vacated or overturned, you may actually have a path back. Courts have recognized that deporting someone over a conviction that no longer legally exists is, to put it politely, not great jurisprudence. Lawyers can also challenge removal orders through the federal courts by filing what is called a petition for review with the circuit court. This is basically going over the immigration judge's head and asking actual Article 3 federal judges to take a look, which sounds dramatic because it kind of is. The timeline on all of this matters enormously, and here is where people trip up the most. Motions to reopen generally have a Nini Day deadline after the final removal order, though there are exceptions for changed country conditions or ineffective assistance of prior counsel. Ineffective assistance of counsel is one of the more common grounds for reopening a case, and it basically means your original lawyer did a bad job in a way that hurt your outcome. It is not just, I did not like how it went. There is a specific legal process to show what went wrong and how it changed the result. The whole system is genuinely complicated, and even small procedural mistakes can close doors that should have stayed open. That is exactly why having a qualified immigration attorney is not a luxury in these situations. It is the difference between a closed chapter and a completely different story. If all of this has your brain doing backflips and you want to know how our company helps people navigate exactly these kinds of situations, check out the links in the description.